This week's homework is a non-fiction text and you're looking for explicit meaning. So remember our unwrapping skills, underline the title. The title is The Great Depression. Number the paragraphs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 paragraphs, so make sure you number your paragraphs. W is for walking through the questions. So now I'm going to just read through the questions quickly, especially Monday. What is the main idea of the text? According to the text, what was the Great Depression? Based on the text, what is commonly viewed as the start of the Great Depression? Determine the meaning of the word fortunes in the text. You must remember not to ever start reading a text because you want to focus on the purpose for reading. You want to know why you're reading. Okay, so let's go back and start reading the text. Again, the title is The Great Depression. The Great Depression was a time of widespread suffering and financial hardship. Between 1929 through 1939, millions of Americans lost their jobs and their savings. Without income or money, many also lost their homes. The stock market crash in October of 1929 is commonly viewed as the start of the Great Depression. Many people had invested their money in the stock market hoping to get rich. They buy stocks at one price and then sell them for more than they paid. For years, this strategy worked, but in October of 1929, a large number of stocks from top American companies all got sold off at the same time. When people saw this, they took it as a sign that they better start selling off their stocks as well. Suddenly, everyone was selling and few were buying. Not only couldn't stocks be sold for a profit, they couldn't be sold for the price they'd been bought for. Investors panicked. They started selling off their stock for anything they could get. Think of it like a reverse auction. Instead of people bidding more and more for what you're selling, you are willing to accept less and less just to get it sold. Even people who hadn't invested in the stock market began to panic. If millionaire investors could lose their fortunes, average Americans feared the money in their banks could disappear too. People lined up to withdraw their money from their banks. But a bank isn't like a safe. Banks only keep a limited amount of the money deposited into them. The rest they invest or loan to other people to buy things like homes and stocks. When lots of customers want to withdraw their money at the same time, the bank doesn't have enough. Banks try to collect back the money they'd loaned. But if people had borrowed that money to buy stock and they couldn't sell their stock, that loan couldn't get repaid. Thousands of banks lost money and went out of business. People who had their life savings in these banks never got their money. The prices of products, from groceries to automobiles, dropped. On the surface, this sounds good because now everything is more affordable. However, when stores sell their items for less, they now have less to pay their employees. Many times, employees would either lose their jobs or take a large cut in pay. These employees then had less money to spend at other stores. They didn't have enough money to pay their bills or pay back their loans. Daily life was a struggle for millions of Americans. They blamed President Herbert Hoover for the country's poverty, unemployment, hunger, and homelessness. In 1933, they voted out Herbert Hoover and elected a new president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Thousands of everyday people, including children, wrote to him and First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt asking for help. And they finally got it. So now I'm going to read you Tuesday's questions and all the way to Thursday. At this time in America, what was the problem for most Americans? According to the text, what caused people to start selling off their stocks? How do you think investors felt when they were forced to sell their stocks for less than they paid? What caused Americans to withdraw their money from the bank? Why do you think the author chose to include a photograph with the text? According to the text, why couldn't the banks return everyone's money? Why do you think the author compared the stock market to an auction? Determine the meaning of the word products in the text. Why was it not good when the prices of products dropped? Based on the text, what were the things President Herbert Hoover was blamed for? According to the text, who helped end the Great Depression? What do you think it was like to live during the Great Depression?